Hey, good afternoon, everyone. You got Patriot Dave here and Indigo Angel. How you doing?
Hey, Patriot Dave. It's lovely to be here and have a good conversation with you about all the crazy shenanigans that are going on in the world.
I
And I've
know.
been well. Thank you so much. How have you been?
Oh, good. It's just all these, yeah, all this stuff. I don't watch this stuff, but I do kind of pay attention sometimes to the ticker. And most of the time, I just look at the ticker and I just laugh. I'm like, they think we're stupid, you know?
Yeah, there's so much going on in the fallen systems,
Yeah.
the shadow systems, everything that's basically feeding the black hole systems and into the wormhole systems, the 666 wormhole, the Tower of Babel, black hole, all of these things. They're definitely very crafty in getting our attention to be on things that energetically will continue to consume us and pull us into the fear timelines for sure.
I know it. I'll be honest with you. I used to use that analogy like there's, maybe three or four or 5D chess games going on. And honestly, we can say there's hundreds of 5D chess games going on because you got the political stance, and then you got the war stuff over here, and you got China surrounding Taiwan, which is another psyop stuff going on. And it's,
Yeah.
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it does seem like so much goes on within the simulation and so much goes on within the artificial timelines as well. It's really hard to cipher through the madness and the chaos and realign ourselves again and again to what is organic and what is of purity and what is of, the higher timelines and freedom and sovereignty. It's definitely, it's a spiritual warfare. We're
Oh
existing
yeah.
in a complete battle of spiritual warfare. And but the thing is, as spiritual warriors, we have to go into these shadow realms because we have to fight technically to
Uh,
maintain our sovereignty, to maintain our freedom, to protect and defend what we feel is to be true. And it's so difficult at this time because so much is, under attack, particularly the universal laws and everything that exists within that. That's something I've been talking about on my channel, is the wars on gender principle.
oh yeah, absolutely. You should be, and everybody should be, honestly. I've had my spiritual battles, not that long ago. I don't name off who they was, but like these are people that everybody thinks are good. And it's like, oh my God, these people are no effing good. I'm sorry to tell you. Eh, Don't believe everything you hear out of everybody's mouth. You have to go within to
Yeah,
find what's real and what's not real. But
yeah.
you're better at that than I to probably explain that. But
Well, you explained it earlier really well when you said people are wearing capes or they're wearing cloaks or they're clones or they've been snatched, like their whole soul's been snatched. There's a whole collective of spiritual beings that also, they're not very truthful about, having got the Jim Jones elixir and the potion, basically. People present themselves to be one thing, but really they're playing two sides or they're playing multiple agendas. And it really, at the end of the day, I almost feel like they don't they they don't know what they don't know, and they're also being pulled apart inside themselves through their own bloodline wars. So they're at battle within themselves between good and evil. And as the frequency rises in the planet, and we expand and contract, and we also pull apart further from 3D Earth and 5D Earth, and we have that pulling apart where it gets more severe in the polarity, that warfare internally becomes more extreme as well. And that's where you see people get more self-destructive, make a lot of bad choices, have to learn some of those really, really hard lessons, and go through that resistance to help them evolve more and try to rehabilitate their DNA. Ultimately, that's the goal here, is to rehabilitate, because we're all recovering from
oh,
what was done in Atlantis.
huh,
You know,
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
finding more and more is it's really a warfare over, not only is it a warfare over our consciousness, but it's a warfare over crystal technology. that crystal technology warfare is still playing out to a huge degree. The whole reason why Atlantis fell was because the crystal generators exploded. And that was why the continent fell off into the Atlantic Ocean, is because but there was a whole plethora of crystal technology that the Anunnaki installed prior to those crystal generators exploding. And that technology is still running on the Earth today. It's still running an artificial crystal technology that they installed. That's how the J seals were installed in the first place in the planetary field on that 70-degree west ley line in North America and South America. Is they installed artificial selenite rods and then encoded those selenite rods to run the crucifixion and persecution codes, to block and seal up everything on the feminine side. That's why to this day, oh, don't even get me going, Patriot Dave. I'm feeling,
yeah.
I'm getting hot. I feel hot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my wife.
It's hot. I mean, it's hot in my house. It's hot in my house. I mean, I'm not hot in any other kind of weird way, but I mean, it gets me heated because you see the polarity in the gender principle, in the gender misery that's just running rampant right now, and all of the subconscious programming of demonization of the feminine that's running right now with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case.
Yep.
I mean, you see how people are reacting to Amber Heard in that case.
Oh my. Yeah, and I didn't pay it much attention, honestly. I knew what that was, and it makes you wonder, like, are the good guys pulling a lot of that off so people can see how stupid they really are, or are they just really that stupid and just, it's one or the other. I don't think it's both.
I think that there's something called PDSs, patriarchal demon seeds, that affects the entire collective. Men and women both suffer from patriarchal demon seeds that in the planetary grids, they run on the 33rd parallel. So they run through all of the major Stargate systems. They run through all of the major locations where we had a lot of fall systems take place, particularly ancient Egypt. And it's running patriarchal programming, okay? Subconscious, subliminal, patriarchal programming, biblical and religious patriarchal programming. And people are still suffering from those wounds. The majority of the collective hasn't had J-seal removal, so those distortions just run rampant. It's a completely unconscious sheet that just, it's like an overlay of control. They installed those overlays of control when those crystal generators blew up, and they installed all that artificial crystal technology.
But how come people like you and I are okay? You know what I mean, as far as seeing this as bullshit over here or whatever. How come we're okay?
Well, we've rehabilitated ourselves. We've rehabilitated,
repaired ourselves.
We've gone through the ascension processes. We've installed the light grids. We've installed the purification. We've gone through a lot of our healing. We're not exactly existing on Phantom Earth or Shadow Earth. Right. We're observing it and we get irritated about it because we're watching the duality play out, but we don't hold that inside ourselves. So we've transcended it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we're all I understand we're kind of all at different levels in our progression. But it's like, just some of the stuff is just beyond like ridiculous.
It is just, it's intense. And it's not just the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. There's another case. If anyone's heard of Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, there's a case where she's like a rapper, but she got shot in the foot and she's been telling her story. It's going to go to trial this year, and basically nobody believes her story. It's, kind of everyone's going against her. And there's another guy.
Wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's this guy named Kevin Samuels. He was a YouTube personality, and he was very misogynistic, promoted a lot of feminine hate, and just, made everything about money and flash and pizzazz. And a lot of people actually banned against him to try to get him taken off YouTube. But it's just this PDS energy, patriarchal demon seed energy, that's promoting a subconscious filter to run hatred towards the feminine. You see what's going on with, the Roe versus Wade,
Yep.
and that trying to be revoked so that way they can control more of the abortion laws and all of these things. So it's a constant stripping of feminine power. And I don't know if people can really see that.
Yeah. And I be honest with you, I have to say, man, are the white hats behind this? Because are they doing this to make everybody say, hey, what the hell's really going on with our government? Sometimes it's confusing because sometimes the
Yeah,
white hats are involved, no doubt about it.
yeah. I think they think the Willy Wonkas, that's what I like to call them.
Yeah.
They're a corporation.
Yeah.
It's a financial corporation, the same as the Magical Kingdom that we got into the last time I came on.
Yeah.
That needs to be boycotted. The same
Absolutely.
as how can we boycott Willy Wonka? Well, we stop paying our taxes. We stop, but we can't get collectively people to come together and do that because there's so much fear.
Mm-hmm.
There's again tied to the shadow realms, the reversals in the earth, the quillipith, the dark quillipith. And they're all just, through their fear and through their lack and through what happens of the unknown, the fear of the unknown. People aren't going to rise. Did you see what happened with that Calvin Klein ad? I want to share this with you really quick. This
I
was
think I got
something
a
that got
picture.
I'll tell you, Dave, this got my blood going crazy.
And while you're looking, I don't want to distract you, but I got a question because this is kind of important too. Oh, I did see that.
You
Yeah,
did?
that's so sickening. Geez.
Okay. That just, this is what I'm talking about when it
Yeah.
comes to promoting artificial harvested womb creation, gender fracking. Um, you know, it's pulling in souls through a gender reversal.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good for those incarnating souls because this isn't natural.
Right.
In my last video, I was talking about how there is actually a Metatronic parasitic invasion that is impeding and attacking the mother arc systems of the earth. That there's this entire mother arcing system that if one can spiritually access it, they have the ability to go off world. It is the portal that directly takes you into the divine Christos and Sophia's energies, takes you into the 0 point field, takes you off world, takes you off planet, also takes you into the organic light templating systems. They want to attack these mother arc systems because they know that these are the access points. And if people spiritually knew how to work with this energy, that we could stop and re-encode all of these reversals and basically repair the earth.
You just said the right word because a lot of us say the word spell like we reversed a spell, but it's the same terminology, a different terminology, but the same thing you just said about reversing their bullshit.
Yeah. But they're not reversing it by doing stuff like this.
Right.
And it's not like a hatred campaign. It's just that it's distorting universal principles. It's distorting universal laws, and this is a result of promoting self-hatred. This is a result of telling society that they're never good enough, that they can't accept themselves for who they are, that they can't love themselves, that they can't embrace their true spirituality. These are symptoms of our abuse, is what this is.
Yeah, it's
just
horrible.
like school shootings were symptoms of our abuse, things like that.
Yeah, and then when you find out some of them, the school shootings are still alive, you're like, what the? I mean, really? It
Yeah.
just doesn't stop with their bullshit. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. I personally feel, and I get really, what's the word? I go to the extremes because I'm so fired up.
Yeah.
I feel like it's because they essentially, the white hats, the Saturn legions that are here on this earth, I call them the Cthulhus. They're the old ones, the old dark ones. They're not even human. They're just this old evil entity that basically built, the black hole systems. They came through the black hole systems. I think that they're seeking to eradicate the feminine off the earth completely. I think they want to strip us of all of our rights. I think they want to turn society against female injustices. I think they want to, obviously they want to shut down our rights to birthing, right, to
Yeah.
incarnation. Um, and they just do so much. People don't realize that, you know, all of the nursery rhyme crimes that we see happening, it's predominantly female children. It's like 75% female children. You
Yeah.
know, everything that happened in China with the I call it, they had an incarnation ban on the Orion gate system, you know, where they weren't where they only had that one child. You can only have one child. Well,
Yeah.
what gender was disposed of? Was the female gender.
Right.
You know, this is playing out in so many ways. I think I think it's from having this metatronic parasitic infection at the end of the day that is attacking the global planetary energetic structures, the mother arc systems that hold up the pillars that actually hold up the planetary Merkaba structure, the actual planetary spiritual Merkabic field. They want to get in through these mother arc systems to basically take that over
Yeah.
and take down the entire spiritual structure of the entire planetary field.
Yeah. Take away the phenomenon from the spiritual part, and you know what you have, right? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I'll take that down. But that, I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to,
Yeah.
I don't not say anything about any of this anymore. I just talk about it. And I think that's what we all have to do, is try to use our voice to,
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like me by myself, I can change some things. I can definitely change my reality, but I can't change my family's reality. They have to change it themselves. So,
yeah.
so on and so forth. And even, you know, I've got friends that are in the military, and I can't even go into some of the conversation we had. And I, I'm the one's got almost 25 years in the military. He thinks Space Force is still part of the Air Force. And I'm like, dude, it's right here on Google of all places. It tells you right here they are a separate entity. And just little things like that. I'm like, but when you're brainwashed, unfortunately, you got to somehow break the shell to the egg. And, you know, I know how to break my shell, but I can't, I don't know how to tell you to break your shell, because you have to do it, not me. I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, you know?
I think I actually get that question a lot from people, like, how do you break your shell?
Yeah. That's kind of a good question if you think about it, honestly.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've come to find to be true is it's all about like death and rebirth processes in the living. People who've had their shell broken have usually had something happen that have been really traumatic, or have had a near-death experience. In one way or another, they've been able to break their carbon down. I think everything in terms of spirituality comes down to carbon evolution, whether
Yeah.
it's reforming into diamond structures, which brings forth the highest expansion of ascension and illumination. But then there's also this process that you break the carbon down versus refine it. And you go the opposite way. You go down into the dark night of the soul, and you have that stripping and those ego deaths, and you have, you know, the real spiritual experiences and the embodiment processes. I think that come through with those deeper revelations of Christed consciousness and all of that stuff. I tell people you have to find a way to break your carbon down.
Well, and your
If
thoughts too, obviously, because your thoughts is energy. So, you know, you have to be careful of your thoughts, not just your mouth. I mean, that's part of it, but I mean, you can send me energy, healing energy, without saying a word. And that's the part that people don't quite understand yet.
yeah,
Some do.
yeah. I was going to ask you, so in terms of breaking your shell, I was wondering if you would tell us all a little bit about your experience then with being, is it SSP?
Yeah. And you know, some of it's, you know, they definitely mess with your memory. So, bits and pieces, but I did get some regression stuff. I think I was around 6 or 7 when they started taking me. So, needless to say, I didn't really put that together until the last, you know, 10 years or so. But it affected my school and the way I behaved as a, you know, a child. it affected me, because rebellious and all that wasn't even the right words for me at all. But I was definitely, I definitely know I had a couple clones. I had one on the Mars and one on the moon, and they're both gone now because I've detached from them. So I don't know what other part.
My question is, so can you define like what SSP is for everyone listening? Just because I'm not sure if everyone on my channel knows what SSP is.
Well, I
Because
mean,
I don't talk about that a lot on my channel.
it's kind of it's kind of broad, but I mean, it's a secret space program, but there's a lot to it, and there's different branches of that, just like the military. Um, and mostly back in the day, it was mostly Dark Fleet. Obviously, there's probably always been a couple, you call them good guys around, that wasn't trying to harm people. But our government agreed to let this happen. And back in the Eisenhower days, they agreed to let this happen. And there's been a lot of videos on that. I don't generally go off into that part too much because
Yeah.
you never really find out the truth. Did the military do it behind his back, or was he part of it? He signed the paper. So I don't, you know, people can say what they want. He signed the effing paper. Um, but I mean, I was taken, I don't even know how old I was when they stopped taking me, but um, when you go in and out, you don't really know it because they wipe your memory. Um, and sometimes you're like lost and don't even know where you're at when you're home. So, that went on for a long time, but 10 years up there back and forth, I don't know what that compares to 10 years here. Because our time is all screwed up too. So I don't know how to compare time from there to here. I have no idea. But I know you could be up there in less than a couple minutes, maybe 5 minutes, you could be on the moon. They're underground bases just like they have on Earth that they don't tell us about, just like under, Disney, like you covered all of that. They got bases all over. And Cheyenne Mountain here, there's a bunch of them. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have been taken over by, the good guys, if that's how you want to word it. I don't know what else to tell you that I can help
What
you.
was like your first recollection where you realized something like that was happening? Like when did it start to kind of become more apparent to you?
Well, probably more like in the last, couple years, but I had broke away from that. So I guess maybe me healing myself and breaking away from that, maybe that helped my memory and, stop them from zapping my memories, I guess I should say. But they blocked the memory so well. And there's so many SSPs on this earth right now. When it all comes out, and I think people are going to be shocked. People don't even know that they were this. So, like, to me, if you had trouble as a child, you didn't listen well, you didn't follow directions, you hated school, all of them are definitely tail signs that you were in the SSP program. But how did it work? I don't know. They take you and they train you. They train you the way they wanted to train you. Then once you got to a maturity level, probably more spiritual than physical, because they didn't care about the physical part, because they could just make a body and take a part of your spirit, and there you go. And that's what they do with the clones.
Yeah.
I think they give them about 10% of your actual spirit somehow. They can divide it, you know, they can do technologies that we have no freaking idea how deep this goes.
Yeah.
I mean, we can technically be in two places at once, and people don't realize that yet, much less what they can do, to us in these labs. I mean, they had cloning labs on the moon, several of them. Do I remember seeing one? Yeah, I remember seeing one. But you have to be careful, because you don't want to mix that up with something else you've seen a picture of. So, but I remember that, the tubes with the water in it and the body in it growing, and I would like to definitely go more in depth with that sometime. But I even, got to learn my name while I was up on the moon. So that's pretty interesting to at least know that much, you know?
Yeah, I have this theory too that some of the SSPs might also be because have you heard of something called super soldiers?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay, that's what I thought because I feel like the SSPs and the super soldiers, there was definitely like a correlation between them because they were talking about MyLab programs.
Right.
And the MyLab programs are, I guess, the same thing as SSP. Like it's just a part of the
It's a
programming that.
part of it. It's basically like say in the military, and then you got your different branches.
Mhm.
I don't know all of that. Like James Rink and them, they went in depth with this and done a fabulous job, and they do videos all the time. Um, James is probably one of the best ones with the SSP stuff as far as doing videos. He's done some great videos for sure.
Mhm.
In-depth videos with people like me that remembers more than I do. So pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the planetary technology that they got running, it's so advanced. I mean, you talk about going back to them wanting to hijack these artificial uh, crystal technology, blowing up generators, to all the way from HARP, all the way to CERN, all the way to hijacking the planetary rod and staff, planetary branding. I mean, they brand iron in particular geometric symbols to hijack certain ley lines, vortexes, to stop and block certain stargates or mother or arc portals. They do that a lot down in Australia. They really try to block that particularly, with having Area 51 down there. I think it's called
Hmm.
Area 51.
Yep. Now,
um,
now, I also heard that Arkansas was one of the biggest farms for crystals, if you will. I don't know how
mhm.
true that is. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is.
Very powerful there. People don't realize how powerful it really is. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I've been feeling so expanded lately, just feeling really, really good because I haven't been, existing like I said, in the shadow realms or the phantom realms. I've been spending a lot of time working on the future light prophecies
Yeah.
and bringing a lot of that information and spiritual feminine god technology forward because I feel like it's so important right now for people to know the good that's happening, that what's transforming on a level of the light and a level of the organic matrices in the earth that's actually supporting and hosting, the golden age, the Aquarian age, the 5D realms and above. And I don't know if you've seen my Swan grid template that I've done, but I just put out a video about that called the 3 days of light.
Hmm. Oh,
And
yes. Name off your channels while you're on that mode before I forget.
yeah, my channel is IndigoAngel on YouTube. Um, my website is indigoangel222.com, so you can find me there. I have a lot of articles that I've written about um, everything about the new Earth prophecy going into New Lemuria, the 22nd century, the year 2200, and just a lot of the probabilities and predictions
Hmm.
of how that's going to manifest and the spiritual processes that are going to unfold as those light templates embody inside the Earth's field. So, I mean, it's good to kind of focus on all of this more shadow stuff, I think, because it's like I said, it's good to be a warrior and filter through all of it, but then it's kind of like go back through like those unattachment processes and unattached from it so you can, you know, keep moving forward on the existing beyond human limitations, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, so I want to show you.
We're so
So
powerful.
yeah, we're really amazing. Like it's all about just shifting your focus, and self-control and trust and in yourself and in the universe. And um so how I've kind of defined that. So going back to my website, IndigoAngel222.com, you can find a lot of my blog posts that I've put up about this. I'll just screen share it if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So it kind of does follow a process. Let me see. I was on the grid. I was talking about the United Kingdoms, or the I'm sorry, the magical kingdom stuff. I thought about the United Kingdom because there's actually, I do believe there's probably a magical kingdom. You know what? I'm just going to go to this really quick because we forgot to talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Because last time we got together, we talked about the magical kingdom and everything that was, you know, going on, all the corruption, all the distortion. So I researched further on that. And I found out that the reason why they're so gung-ho and diabolical in wanting to push these agendas is because the magical kingdom actually owns and runs and funds elementary schools in the United States.
Yeah, that's just great, isn't it? I mean, what the?
Yeah, I found 14 of them.
How's that
all
even
here.
possible? I mean,
yeah, it's really bizarre.
and they did this with our money. The people that go spend money there, they did it with our money. That's even like crazier yet.
Yeah, it's just, and it's really discreet. They've actually been very discreet about it. Nobody even knew about these. Like, I had to go really fishing online for these to try to find them and locate them.
Yeah.
And so, but these were all the locations that I found. You can see here on the screen.
Even Springfield, Missouri. Geez.
4 locations in Chicago, Illinois,
That doesn't
California,
surprise me. Yeah.
Rochester, New York, but they're all over the world. There's a couple in Paris. There's one in Casablanca, Morocco. I found a picture of, and what's really interesting is I found a picture of this one here in Morocco. And what does that building look like to you? Like, if shape wise, like if you had to say what it looks like? Looks like a cube.
Yeah.
Looks like a black cube.
Yeah, they love their black cubes, don't they?
They love their black cubes. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's black cubes are all about Saturn technology. We talk about the technology they're using with SSP, all of this crazy stuff that they're doing. Like, black cube technology is just a part of that. And it's how they harvest and do blood sacrifices on humans. And so yeah, they're like running black cube magical kingdom, you know, elementary schools. It's mind-blowing.
I don't understand, unless it's a private school, how they even do that. So if it's a private school, that means me as a parent has to pay to send my kid there. Is that how these work, or do you don't know?
I think they are potentially, there's parent intuition. I know that they're difficult schools to get into. Like, there's long waiting lists, and like people are fighting for spots.
Certain DNA and every effing thing else.
Yeah, there's a lot of regulations and particular GPAs you have to get in them, and it's really interesting. That's for sure. I just want to give a message to all the parents out there that if you know someone whose kids are in these schools, or your kids are in these schools yourself, you might want to maybe rethink your child's education, you know, because these schools are the reasons. Just, you know, as you said, like, you feel like they were taking you in school and you didn't even know when you were going in and out when you were a kid. That's probably what they're doing in these elementary schools. They're probably these are all kids that are my lab subjects.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they may not take them all because they may not fit the qualifications. And what their qualification is, I don't know. I don't know. I'm assuming a certain DNA or something, spiritually, for sure. Just crazy.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we're transcending that.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
That just makes you think of Thor, right? With the, you know, the big sledgehammer, and just empty the school out and just smash the whole building and take it down, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get part of the bulldozer crew. That would be great.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think people are boycotting things, but I don't think they're boycotting them to a level of degree that it's really going to bring forth the radical shift and the radical change that we need to have happen. It seems like people kind of rally up as it's happening, but then they just like forget. And then
I
things
think
smooth over and then the same systems just stay in place.
a lot of people went to homeschooling now that that I talk to or whatever. A lot of people's went to homeschooling since, past couple of years. That's a good thing.
Yep. My kids as well. Yep.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How could you not?
Because exactly. It's the public school system around here is not very good.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't trust it.
Well, hell no.
Um, but so I mean, there is a lot to look forward to. Some of the things that I've been tuned into is something called the 3 days of light. So a lot of people have been talking about a solar flash or a solar flare event that's going to take place that could happen for an hour or a couple hours or half a day, but this event would come and basically, radically change the consciousness on Earth. But what I've been talking about has been something called the 3 days of light, which is more like a Genesis event. And this has been coming from all of the activity that's been going on in the Cygnus system. There's been star explosions, and a supernova light blast and wave of light that's come down from the Cygnus system that we've been integrating here in the Orion Cygnus arm area of our universal, metagalactic system. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we've been integrating that light, and it's been bringing on more of the diamond systems in the
Well, yeah,
Earth's field.
because they say these solar flashes from the sun, whatever, that you say that to put fear in everybody that we're going to get hit with this shit that's going to hurt us. And actually we're getting hit with some stuff that's going to help humanity and help the earth and so on and so forth.
Exactly. And the more that we are upgraded with the light that comes to our system, the more that the light templates in the earth come online that push us into redefining the carbon or upgrading to the 12 to 48 strands of DNA in the body and going through biological evolution that really brings on the higher harmonics on the earth. It brings forth the 144,000. So you hear people talking about the 144. Well, that's a genetic biological ascension marker that turns on if one is genetically encoded to that, as in mission or whatever phases they are within that activation. Some people are in mission, some people are, in different phases of it. Some people are in graduation, some people are just stepping up into that role. But it's basically a guardianship role. It's a planetary parental role that one takes on, and they help and assist the evolution by building the light cities and bringing forth the diamond crystal temples, reinstalling the organic pyramid power grid on the earth. And
Yes. It's funny you say that. I don't mean to laugh because like the square buildings, like you just showed the cube, this is what you want for buildings because of the energy flow, the circle, not the square. And you've probably done some of that studying as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Because of
Shoot,
the
you should
energy
see the World
flow.
Death Organization building. That is some crazy technology. I gotta do a breakdown on that one day because I wanted to show you this map though. This is the Dove light template from the Keys of Enoch, JJ Hertek. I've referenced this quite a bit. And I think this is a part of the preliminary phases of the light templates coming online inside the earth. Ultimately, for this to be released, it has to be freed. It has to be freed. It's basically hijacked right now through the Yahweh systems, through the Metatronic systems. It's held up in the grid structures of North Americas. And we get to see subtle releasings of this all the time. I mean, with the trucker convoy, we had this whole light grid start to activate in the flank or the wings of the dove, and it rose from the west coast to the east coast.
Right.
And it was this guardian sweeps that were coming through. This is all a part of this. Every time we go through ascension and descension planetarily, because of the rising frequency, more of that starts to activate, and we start to see more progression of this light template being freed up and expanding more for us to actually experience it socially, collectively, all of those things.
You're right. And I feel it when things happen. I usually feel it, not every time, but I'm not complaining because we need to feel that more every day, right?
Yes, definitely. And And the head of the dove, I think, is what is starting to come online more now, is because in the head of the dove, and this is what I'm talking about, artificial crystal technology and organic crystal technology. So we have these artificial selenite rods that they encoded these basically seals and distortions into, but then we have organic systems and organic crystal caverns that if we can access them energetically or spiritually, we can reverse all the reversals essentially. And
What I was going to ask you, how do the, let's just say bad ones, because people understand that terminology, how do they get taken down? I mean, from us? How do they get destroyed?
well, I don't know. Well, okay, so I could tell you what I have been seeing, that they are not to exist forever, that they themselves are also on a timeline that they're playing out. I think a lot of it has to do with, I'll go ahead and take this picture now.
Oh, that's
A
fine.
lot of it has to do with black hole systems. So we have a giant black hole system. I'll actually share this picture. I have so many
That's
maps and
okay,
stuff.
yeah.
Every time you have me on, just know that I'm probably going to have a map to show you.
Please do. Yeah.
I do.
Well, we like to see, touch, and feel stuff. I mean, when you see it, it helps understand it.
Can you see this map, or is it on a different picture here?
I can see it.
You can see the map?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a giant black hole system that's running from the Bermuda Triangle to the Statue of Liberty. So the Statue of Liberty is like a declaration to Lucifer. That's
Mhm.
what it actually represents, is Lucifer, the light bearer. Okay, so they've kind of put it out there in front of the United States to claim this land under Lucifer, basically.
Right.
And so it's running wormhole systems because they've installed artificial technology down in the Bermudas to override the organic crystal technology that's there, because they're aware of how crystal technology can be encoded or manipulated. Okay, and that was
Right.
something, that was technology they got in Atlantis. That wormhole system runs over to where the explosion or the fall of Atlantis was. So this goes through the Canary Islands, it goes through the Atlas Mountains, and even into Mauritania. That this black hole system kind of runs through all of this area. I think to destroy, I don't even like to use that word destroy, but I mean, destruction and creation go hand in hand. Shiva destroys to create, essentially. I think Brahma creates to destroy. I don't know, whatever. I think that those black hole systems are on timeline markers, and I think that they are to dissolve at a certain point in time. I think that that's going to happen over the next 500 to 1,000 years. That's just my prediction.
Yeah.
But once these black hole systems run out, it would collapse down the 666 portals. Like I said, the Tower of Babel portals that I was talking about, all of the destruction codes.
Yeah.
Once we stop feeding the black hole system and then unplug our Stargate system, because part of the Stargate system here on Earth is plugged into those shadow phantom realms that actually run through the Orion system. That's what we're moving out of, is the Orion arming control systems, and we're
Right.
actually transitioning into Cygnus diamond nations, which is where we are refining our carbon structures, and we are becoming more of a diamond network system.
Yeah, and like the Bermuda Triangle thing by itself, I mean, I'm sure there's entities working on disabling that or making it go away. I don't know. That's pretty deep stuff, but I'm sure all them spots throughout this whole earth, surely don't you think the Alliance is doing something about that? Or do you think they're just going to let it ride?
I think the alliances, like the guardian nations,
Yeah,
I mean,
like
like the people working for the light.
well, like the Solar System Alliance, the Galactics working with us and all of that. I mean,
Yeah.
don't you think they're probably doing things to get rid of some of that? I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I think the 3 days of light is all about. The Cygnus nations, Cygnus ultra terrestrials, Cygnus intelligence, and Andromedan intelligence, Andromedans are working with as well.
Mhm.
That's what this diamond system is all about. It's to rehabilitate the earth and to clear the earth of all of the distortions, black cube
Manipulation.
technology, reversal technologies, the Quillipith, the portals and black hole systems to the phantom realms. It's going to bring so much light into the earth that it's going to heal and it's going to expand in all of the deepest, darkest places. I know it's hard to see. It's
Yeah,
hard to really see it, but it is a future prophecy. It's something that's going to take hundreds and hundreds of years to come into fruition, but the earth's going through so much radical transformations and changes.
yeah.
This is going to go along with the melting of Antarctica. This is not going
Oh,
to be prevalent until that snow melts down there, because the land down there holds guardian key codes, galactic alliance key codes to the 12 central universal stars, this 12 central suns, essentially. There's a
yeah.
cosmic diamond highway that opens up, and there's a portal that comes through Antarctica. That's what this giant portal is here. This is
Yes.
supposed to represent a giant diamond disk that exists down in Antarctica that was installed during the timeline of Gondwana by the Andromedans, by the Cygnusian nations, by the Pleiadians, by the original organic Orions pre-fall. They came and installed these diamond systems to protect the Earth from pole shift, from magnetosphere collapse, from everything that's basically playing out here that's crazy. Christed consciousness manipulation, installing all kinds of blue beam systems, all this stuff that they're running.
Do
This
you
diamond network came to protect us.
do you see the earth change in polarity? Because I do feel it, but I could be wrong. You see that?
Change in polarity. Explain that more.
Well, if the earth stopped and reversed, the south pole would be the North Pole and the North Pole would be the South Pole.
Okay.
Have you ever looked into that?
I feel like we're always on that tipping point. I
Hmm.
feel like that's always playing out, and that maybe it's even happening and we're not even
Very
there's
possibly.
been so many times where I thought it was happening. So I feel like we're always like going into pole shift.
Yeah,
What I think, because you talk about this technology that they have, I think they are preventing pole shift from happening because they don't want the flip. They don't want to, if it flips, then power is going to flip. Who's in power, who's reigning in power, all of that. So I think that they've actually done biohacking and hijacking into the rod and staff to prevent flip from happening.
yeah.
Um,
And I don't know. I'm just going off of kind of like what I've seen, heard, and kind of put some puzzles together. You know, I don't know that it would be a bad thing if it reversed. I really don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but it's interesting for sure.
yeah. Well, I think we have such a powerful organic functioning system in the Earth's field that people are just so unaware of that what's underneath their feet. Did you know there's an entire diamond ocean underneath the mantle? An
Mm.
entire diamond ocean. There's an entire diamond structure system that goes from the Earth star crystal core, where it's a spinning diamond field, all the way to those layers, inner Earth layers of those diamond oceans, all the way to the diamond networks inside the continental landmass, where they're mining all of this, by the way. That's what I have charted here. So you see these red countries. These are
Hmm.
all the areas where they're doing most of the diamond mining, diamond fracking, mostly here in South Africa. It's most prevalent. This is where the largest diamond mines are in the world. And they're digging all of the precious resources out. That's why all of these invaders came to our planet in the first place. They wanted all of our precious resources.
I'll say, don't we don't, I mean, really, we don't want to mine these, right? I mean, really, leave them in the earth, right?
Yeah, it's actually really toxic and really bad for us to be doing that.
Yeah.
I did a close up on this on the video that I did the other day, but there is a diamond mine here in Orapa. That was the only one that I seen that it kind of showed the mine itself.
Zimbabwe, huh?
Yeah, but they really dig really far down into the earth,
Yeah.
and they're really toxic for people to go in here and work in these mines because of all the gases that come out. But you can see here, this one, this is like carved out.
Yeah. I see it. Hmm.
Yeah.
But their government lets them do it and they're the only ones that can regulate it, right?
Yeah. The Willy Wonka's all covertly involved in everything that's going on. That's why they're corrupted and have to be boycotted.
Yeah, for sure. You're right.
Yeah, just like Calvin Klein and the Magical Kingdom, all of it. Bye bye.
Yeah. Oh,
um,
these places. Yeah.
yeah,
But if we don't support them, it's sure the hell going to help our cause,
I think it's a generation. I think it's a what's beyond a generational program.
What's beyond it?
Yeah, what is greater than a generational program? It's maybe a procession program.
Possibly.
It's something it's a program, and it's a belief that we need governance.
Yeah.
How we would decode that, I don't even feel like it's in our own energy field to decode that. That's somewhere in the hollow records, in the earth's field. And that's one thing that's tricky for me, because I feel like I accessed the hollow records, which is like this super conscious organic consciousness field, like a filtration system in the earth that I feel like clears artificial distortions, artificial timeline warping, artificial, anything, artificial intelligence. It's an advanced intelligence. It's not artificial, but it's advanced organic filtration. And I'm wondering, is this collective programming somehow made its way and hijacked itself into the hollow records? Because how could that be so embedded into processionary programming? Because I don't even think it's something we can clear generationally. It's beyond generation.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it can be cleared in a generation or two. I don't know. I mean, there's so much things we don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be hopeful, not,
We have to keep asking the questions.
yeah, for sure. I think we all should, you know, we should all ask them questions. Why are we here? What's our purpose? What's our missions? And taking these assholes out. I mean, that's part of my mission my whole life. So I'm gonna keep on doing what I do.
Keep on doing it. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a warrior.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had some original organic Orion markers in your chart somewhere. It's in you to fight for injustices. I knew that right away when I first met you.
Well, yeah. I mean, shit, when I was an Indian, I mean, who killed me? The damn white man to come and take the land, right? You know, where does it stop? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so much savagery, so much cannibalism, so much carnage, so much primal survival, bloodshed, since the first genocidal wounds. And I don't think it began. And I think this is why we don't heal, because it's almost a death screen that they installed
Oh yeah.
to run the Atlantean program, when really the wounding is in Lemurian templates. That's
Oh
where we
yeah.
have to go to heal, is Lemuria.
Did you ever study where Lemuria is actually located at?
All over,
Hmm.
all over. Where do you think it is?
I don't know. If there's even a specific location to it, or I don't know. It's very interesting though.
What I've come to find is it's all of the Pacific regions. So Hawaii, Easter Islands, um, New Zealand, Australia. It bridges to India, Madagascar, parts of South Africa and South America.
Hmm.
Also the Yucatan, and even the North Americas. Mount Shasta was a huge Lemurian
Hmm.
portal in terms of the spirits that and the Pleiadians that came at that time.
Yeah.
The same Pleiadians that came and seeded in the crystal seeds in the Uluru in Australia are the same Pleiadians that went underground in Mount Shasta. So I think the network of Lemuria was gigantic. I think it was a system that evolved a lot. It went from being devolved to being advanced. But then a lot of the problems came in with tearing apart the fifth dimensional souls, giants force breeding with, the women, and all of these things. And so the force, a lot of the slavery. And then that slavery mentality never ended. You know, the slavery mentality just evolved into the Atlantic slave trade and kept on, you know, tearing apart, you know,
Yeah.
holes all over the world.
Divide and conquer from within.
Mhm.
That was their thousands of years plan, right? I mean,
Yeah. Mass ethnic cleansings, all of it. It's all a part of the intergalactic slave trade, is what it
yeah,
actually was on a galactic level.
yeah, that totally makes sense to me. People think of, sex trades here on Earth. I mean, that's just a little problem we have. I mean, and it's a big one. Don't get me wrong, but when you start talking the solar system and galactic, and I mean, this stuff goes really deep.
It goes really deep. It's,
Huh.
you have to really be able to have a lot of space inside of your planetary mind to be able to fathom everything, because to us we have to make sense of everything in maybe a linear process, because that's how we've been taught or how we've been trained to use our brain. So to be able to fathom that maybe Lemuria was existing the same time as Atlantis, and Atlantis was existing at the same time of Tartaria, or that these timelines interwove, or that these timelines didn't even exist at the same time at all, that maybe it was more of like a Mandela effect, that one was there one day, vanished the next, and the new system was there just according to the pole shifts that were taking place. Because I noticed that's happening too with the melting ice in Antarctica, that there's an entire city underneath the ice in Antarctica, that there's architecture that's going to come up. There's two
Yeah,
golden sphinx. There's two golden sphinx down in Antarctica
with
that
the
are guarding
original heads,
portals.
right?
Mm-hmm.
With the original heads, because they deformed the one in over there. That would be
Yeah,
interesting to see, right?
exactly. Um, but once that snow melts, that's gonna rectify history. Like, people are not gonna know what to believe anymore, because it's gonna be like everything's gonna defy what people know to be true, even though everything already does defy it. People just don't want to, according to the mainstream, they're not gonna, you know, they consider it pseudoscience and all of this stuff or whatever. But I mean, it's already there. It's already.
How long will it be before you think any of that's revealed? Because we know it's melting right now. I mean, we know that.
Yeah, I
Are
think
they
the
gonna?
next couple hundred years, next couple
Yeah.
hundred years. Yep. And it's going to be really transformational. And it's going to come down to the diamond networks again, because they're going to rush down into Antarctica to farm and to mine all of the diamonds out, just like they do everywhere else. It's
Unless
going to
somebody
create,
stops them.
yeah.
Let's hope so.
So as the dove expands, we go through this diamond transformation. Then we come into something called the Swan light template. So this is something that I designed, and I channeled this Swan template, but this is kind of a light template version of what you just seen charted in the other picture that I had up. Essentially, the wings of the swan expand from the deepest, darkest spaces on the earth. So they go from the Grand Canyon to the Mariana Trench. They clear everything, all the PDSs running on the 33rd to 37th parallel. They clear through all of the major Stargate vortexes on the earth. They clear through all of the areas where the crucifixion wounding encoded, integrated into the landmass. It clears the J-cell area and the ley line running there and the artificial technology. It clears the black hole wormhole systems in the Atlantic Ocean and brings forth the diamond technology in Africa, where that light is prophesized to emerge, essentially. And it's a global happening, but this will happen to everybody individually in their biological body. As they ascend into the 12 to 48 strands of DNA, their carbon structure redefines itself and refines itself as they embrace guardianship consciousness. And there's a lot of bullshit that has to be cleared in the heavens too. That warfare in the heavens has to go. The
Yeah.
warfare and deception in the seraphim lineages has to go. The Elohim warfares have to go. I mean, there's so much spiritual warfare that will be cleared by these light systems, because this is designed to clear all darkness in all dimensional fields. here
Yeah.
to run the organic D13 current, which is the true organic earth current again. And so yeah, I get really excited about it because I see this future, and to me the future is bright. So
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, where's it going to get to a point to where we're like, okay, we know we're headed in the right direction. But when are more people going to see it besides us? That's the, $1 million question.
so have you ever heard of a gal named Lori Adele Toy?
I don't think so.
She has a website called IamAmerica.com.
Yeah.
And this is a future map that she had designed.
Mm.
I know you probably can't see it too well.
No, but I get the gist of it. I like it.
So yeah, this is prophecy a couple hundred years from now, and it's called the Freedom Star Map. This is once the 51 light cities come online and all the 144,000. I say there's 500 million indigo strong tribe activation, right? That will bring forth the 144 that will build the light cities. The diamond crystal temples will emerge up out of the oceans. The polar regions will melt. More land mass will come up in the Pacific Ocean. So this will be like these land mass over here. These will be like new Lemuria. This land mass over here will be diamond islands. A lot of water will cave in around the coastal areas. And so there will be less land in the North Americas and in the South Americas, and also in Africa as well. And we're just going to continue to be going on some radical transformations. Wow, look at all this light coming in on my side here. Isn't this awesome?
That is beautiful. Absolutely. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That
See,
is
that's
awesome.
how you know this message is supported. That's
Oh, I mean, do you get little, like when you look at the clock, do you get a lot of numbers there and stuff like that too?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm always 222 is my number, 444, 777. Anything repeating, really.
I get 444 a lot. That's not the only one, but yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I love that look. But I mean, things ain't just gonna happen like turn a light switch on and everything's done. It's not quite that easy.
Yeah.
I wished it was,
No, wow, that's
That's cool.
really awesome. So I'll just turn it
Yeah,
on.
you kind of got it tuned a little bit. Okay. It's not like messing your picture up. It just kind of looks like you got a rainbow surrounding you.
I really think that what we're dealing with, not on the stuff that we were talking about when it comes to the Willy Wonka and this governance program that might be beyond generational program, but I think a lot of the things that we can fathom within our generational programming, I think these things they really are going to take time. We have to be able to see beyond our existence. We have to be able to see beyond the next 2 or 5 years, to see the beauty of the transformation and the fifth dimensional transformation that's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's financial, it's everything. It's it involves the politics too. That's all going to be changed. It's already being changed behind our back anyway. I mean, the government's going to downsize. I mean, I have this shenanigan crap you see going on. I just shake my head and just like, hell, that ain't real. That's not the real White House. Yeah, crazy.
I think it will come when we take back our education system.
Yeah,
we lost control of the education of the youth.
For sure. Yeah,
and that's why, because it's all about generation. I was thinking about that the other day as I was taking a shower. That's where a lot of my downloads go down, as in the shower. But
well, water is powerful, right?
Yeah. But I was thinking about the future and my great grandchildren. For some reason, that came to me, and I did feel like they were me. I felt like even that far in the future, like even though this is all unborn, I could see it and I could feel it, and I got really worried. I did get really afraid for what's being left left to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I mean,
So you went all the way to your great grandkids.
yeah. And
Yeah,
I could see them, I could feel them. I felt like I know them. I felt like they were fractals of me. And I felt like I immediately felt protective, and I felt so worried that what was going to be left to them was that I wasn't doing enough, that I wasn't doing enough now. Like I needed to write books for them. I needed to write remedies, and I needed to like leave some sort of wealth of intelligence and information for them that they're not going to be able to get from the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is just going to be so ungrounded.
yeah, but I mean, really, our ancestors tried to do that for us, and of course, the bad guys got a hold of that stuff.
Yeah.
It'll come out, but yeah. So do you? I guess you never really look. The financial system's being redone with the quantum and everything. Do you ever look at that and see what your insights are on that?
That I stay away from a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm not that's not an area of my expertise. I've always, I know at some point I might have to force myself to learn more and go into that, but I pull away from it because on a spiritual level, it doesn't align to me.
right.
Um,
As long as you can pay your bills and put some food
yeah.
on the table.
And I am a businesswoman. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
am running a spiritual business. And some people do find that controversial, or some people do find that hypocritical, or whatever it is. But what I've come to find is that on the new earth, in the new golden age system, that the people doing the spiritual work aren't meant to be poor and broke and living out on the streets. Like we're not living in a world of lack. We're living in a world of there's enough for everybody.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and you don't your readings are not like outrageous. I've seen way worse prices. And if it helps put food on your table and pay your bills, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, geez,
yeah,
you
well,
can't
yeah,
starve.
I mean, especially because I'm all in. Like, this is all I do. This is my life. This is what I'm
Yeah,
committed to. This is what I devote myself to. And
yeah.
so I have to be able to network, and I have to be able to promote myself, and I have to be able to but it's a joy. Like, I love the clients that I get to work with. I love the spiritual work that I get to do.
Oh yeah.
um Everything is aligned to my mission and to my soul, and that's why I feel worthy of it, and I feel worthy of my desires as well. I feel like we should be allowed to have everything technically that the world has to offer, as long as we're willing to create that for ourselves. And I think it's a
Yeah.
programming inside ourselves that we have to clear and transcend, um that lack mentality. I know a lot of spiritual people struggle with that. They struggle with transcending, feeling worthy of, like having financial abundance.
Well, and we are co-creators, so I think we kind of create our own misery or our own light, whatever we create. We kind of create that for ourselves, with a few exceptions. I mean, if somebody hits me in a car, that I didn't create that. If somebody hit me, but as far as me myself, I have control of that. And when dark entities come around me, I just tell them to f off. I don't take no shit. Don't take no shit off of none of them. And that's just the way you got to be. You have to be that way. You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Eh,
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you have some spiritual fights in the spiritual world, you kind of understand it. You don't show them no fear. What are they going to do to you? You can't kill energy, and that's what you are. So guess what? I mean, it can't do anything to you. So,
It can make you sick. Can
yeah, that's
definitely make you
true.
sick. I'll tell you, we were doing a group grid session, and we were trying to clear all of the magical kingdom locations. By the way, this was something else I did want to show you, to
Yeah,
just
please
keep you
do.
keep you up to date on things we've been talking about. Let me go to my other map. So this was the magical kingdom map that I had.
Yep.
So we were doing our remote viewing of the area here in Hong Kong, the Magical Kingdom, and guess what we found right next to that location?
What'd you find?
I'm gonna zoom in very slowly here.
Yeah.
And you tell me what this is. You're gonna be like, what in the world? Yeah. Okay, it just takes a while to get in because
That's
it's,
fine.
I wish I had a super zoom button.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's Hong Kong Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going in, doing our grid worker, clearing all of this stuff out. And then we look over here and we're like, what is this? 12 Pennies Bay Quarantine Center, phase 1.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I guess I guess this has been closed down, this whole Hong Kong Magical Kingdom.
Oh, really?
And it's been closed down because they've been using the park entrance and behind the park to utilize this as a quarantine facility and center where they're locking people up that have, you know.
Suppose that thing. Yeah.
And so it's turned into a torture chamber.
Oh, that's probably putting it nicely, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what is so frustrating about all of the distractions they have running through the simulation and the 3D artificial timelines is because
Yeah.
they're actually setting up this very advanced concentration network.
Well, they're doing that in the US too. Don't think they're not. They absolutely are. And when I seen this, I felt heavy energy there.
Yeah. And as we were doing our grid work, we were working on this site. I got really sick after that session. It was like about a week that it just felt like maybe I had gotten hit with the bioweapon. Felt like just radiation poisoning almost,
Oh
kind of.
yeah. And people don't think about this too. Like a witch can do certain things against you if you don't have your shields up per se,
And we
You,
had a lot of shields up when we were doing this
I
work.
bet you
We
did. I
set
was
a
gonna
lot
say
of shields.
you guys were probably as prepared as you could be. I mean, boy, you had so many entities after you guys. Oh boy. See, we did that same thing in Africa just on a whim. And you could like see the spirits like didn't want to see us. They were covering their eyes and stuff like that. And you could actually see it. It was very interesting
Wow.
because we were taking the swords and bringing in the bright light. And yeah.
Well, we were using kind of like a spiritual VPN where we were going in kind of covertly and then covering up tracks as we went back to our locations to kind of teleport ourselves to another location. So we were being as discreet as possible as we could with the remote viewing, because we do know that they have a lot of high remote viewing deflectors and reflectors in China, period.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a tough area. This is the head of the fallen dragon system, and I am coming to find out there is a light dragon template as well that's running, but this here is running the height of the AI singularity vortexes. They're well on into 6G. There's just so much going on there. It's advanced AI technology over there, so it's definitely beyond what I think what we have going on in the tail end. So it's
Do you when your guys' thing was done with the remote viewing thing that you did besides your sickness, did it feel lighter there to you?
Heavier.
Do you think you accomplished what you were trying to accomplish, I guess is the question.
We are gonna be having a second session to go back in and cover Japan and Shanghai and possibly go back and touch on that, because we worked on that site and then we were done after that, because it was just everyone actually felt the interference kind of come in. And so when we feel that happen, we regroup, we rerun our shields and our intentions, and do a clearing and then
Yeah.
set our VPNs and then kind of get ourselves out of there, just because we knew that interference had come in. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and you can only do so much at one time.
I know.
It's every single location is just so heavy. That's why it's so important that if we're really going after these types of things, right, we work in the organic systems. Okay, that's what I'm finding more and more and more is like, it's one thing to go in and tamper with what's artificially been done and work on that, but it's another thing to actually just kind of bypass that, go right into the organic generators and then encode directly into them. That's actually going to then act as a ripple effect that will take care of those artificial systems for us, because we're going right into the organic super intelligence fields and installing the purity intentions, right?
Yeah.
Sending back humanitarian messages to the planetary logos field. And that is more powerful than going there and beating ourselves up by all of the bioweaponization that they have, because it actually takes more of a toll on us to do that. It's better to just focus on linking everything back into the organic systems as much as possible. Those are the messages that I keep getting over and over and over and over again.
And I'm sure there's different groups doing different things. You probably got the groups like me going in there with the swords, and then you guys doing your thing. I mean, everybody just keep doing what you're doing. It's going to work out just fine.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, I am having a group read session to work on the Swan and the Dove and the organic light diamond templates this Saturday, the 21st at 6 p.m. CST. You can find that on my Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel, and sign up on the lowest tier to join. If it is your first session, though, you probably just want to watch and then join in for the group meetings prior to attending the next one, just so that way, unless you feel confident and comfortable with jumping in. But typically people like to kind of pay attention and watch before they fully jump on into participating.
Yeah, I just jump right in. I mean,
yeah.
I can't this Saturday, unfortunately.
It depends how new you are to it, and if you've been doing it for a while. Everybody's kind of at a different level. But
that's true. Yeah, and you don't want to go somewhere to where you don't know what the hell you're doing. Somewhat.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'll make sure I put your links on the bottom too when I post this, of course.
I can go ahead and show too some of my services and some of my links and stuff too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one thing I just added too is if anyone is interested in getting a PDF of the Swan Grid template, I have it for purchase here. If you are a Patreon member, I will give that to you for free. I'll just give you the PDF and a JPEG. But if you're not a member, I just ask that you purchase the PDF or the JPEG. And then to find the writing to that, I don't have like a book that goes along with that. So you would just want to go to my blog section and read these two articles here, because these tell you all about that template and what it's about and how everything is unfolding, how it's bringing forth the 144 and guardianship consciousness. And then if you're interested in doing services with me, you just go to my services tab. I have the 13-dimensional chakra clearing, which, Dave, if that's something that you would like to do, we could do something like that. Because I know we had talked about maybe getting into that, but if we did, this is like what the whole show would be. It would be doing this whole thing, because it would take a lot of time, because we work down systematically through each dimensional field, going in together, exploring it, regressing if we need to. All of that takes time, because it's everything that we have to bring up from the unconscious and the subconscious and the emotional and the spiritual parts of you. So we have to, empathically move through it. And then I have the J seal removals as well. So if you're looking to remove those seals, you can do that here. You can read all about that session here. And then I have the Draco seal removal as well. And this is where we remove everything that was tampered during the Aryan timeline, which is where the Dracos have been here since forever, last 500,000 years on Earth, doing all kinds of jacked up, messed up things. But they were very organized in the Aryan timeline. So that's, we go after and remove things that they did and seals that they placed. And I had the advanced avatar master practices as well, if for remote viewing and grid keeping training. And then I have the Atlantean special. So I have the coupon code Patriot Dave, all lowercase, all one word, and that gets you 10% off of that package as well. So if you want to do that for seeing me on Patriots Dave's show today, then you get a discount on that package. And that includes a Starseed origin reading and your choice of a chakra clearing, a J seal removal, or a Draco seal removal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me share that so much. I really appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's about. Got to get this, not just the world, we got to get the solar systems and the solar systems fixed. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But
But
you know,
there's so much we can be doing. I mean, I don't
yeah,
think all is, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's definitely a lot, but just be mindful about how much time you spend giving your life force energy to the fallen systems, to the duality, to the lack and separation, mind programming. It's really easy to slip back into that. I find myself like wanting to do videos about the purity energies on Earth and the light matrices, but then I find myself easily slipping back into what the dark cabal is doing, and and I go into that, and it's like, and I catch myself, and then I'm like, okay, stay focused on what is about purity, unification, and wholeness, and focusing on that message. So I think it's all about where you delegate your time and attention. What you focus on grows, or what is there's like a saying, whatever you focus on manifests.
absolutely.
Thoughts become things, all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, and great show as always. I guess that was our second one, right?
It was.
Yeah. Well, when I stop the recording, we'll look at the calendars real quick if you got enough time.
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, just thank you so much for having me on today. And
Yeah, thank
thank
you.
you everybody for watching. And
Yes.
I'll see you guys again sometime soon.
Sometime soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.